Hello folks, it's Erin and I'm back with my Autumnal Village by Eyvind Earle, perfect for this rainy October day. There we have all my colors, I'll list it in the description below, and I'm going to start with a very background, which is pink. The very background, you know what I mean, the very furthest color from the foreground. And it's just basic red and white mixed together, and I started with just some regular brush strokes with a flathead brush, and now I'm going in with a very dry acrylic or oil brush and just creating that dry brush effect around the edges to get a little bit of texture. And now I'm mixing, this is primary magenta with a little bit of this luminous red and a little bit of white to get the next color layering up from the very background all the way up to the foreground. And yeah, very simple, these blocks of color. It's a wonderful way to create a background. I've been so inspired by doing these replicants in how I can build up compositions without a ton of detail, right? So it's just a really cool way to build up this scene that feels like all these trees with their changing leaves, but really it's just patches of color. And then we'll draw the trees over top. Now the luminous red that I'm using is much brighter than the original piece of concept art. Of course, back then, I don't think they had fluorescent colors, fluorescent pigments. So it is brighter than the original piece, but I really love this luminous red. It's probably my favorite color to work with. So I used it, but you could also just use a regular orange or mix together red and yellow. And now I'm starting these little houses. But then I realized as I was painting in these houses, blocking them in was difficult without knowing where the roofs are going to be. So I just looked there at the roofs and I decided to draw them in quickly. And a rule of thumb, I've mentioned this so many times before, but when you draw from reference, you want to look at the reference about 70 or 80% of the time, and at your surface that you're drawing on only about 20% of the time, because you really want to be focused on the shapes, and that helps, or it helps to really observe the reference. And now I'm doing 2 coats of the white. You can see it's pretty gloopy. I am, again, doing this very quickly, not this fast, but I'm trying to do it quickly, so I'm not being as picky about how smooth the white is, but usually you can smooth it out by the 2nd or 3rd coat. I'm now mixing magenta in with lilac and getting this nice warm, light purple or light mauve that's quite, yeah, nice and warm and juicy. And filling in the houses here, you can see, if you look underneath where my hand is right now, there's a house that I screwed up, and that's because I painted over a surface that was wet still. I didn't wait until that coat of white was completely dry, and I tried to do another coat of white. It's a rookie mistake that I shouldn't be making at this point, but sometimes I get impatient. But yeah, you really want to wait till the bottom layer is dry before you do a 2nd coat, or else you'll pick up paint and then you'll create unwanted textures. And the word I use is crinkles, which isn't, I don't know, well, I guess crinkle is a word, but anyway, it creates a rough texture. So be patient, let it dry. Even when you're using acrylic gouache, you want to let it dry completely. Okay, so now I'm doing the stripes, and the stripes are a darker color, so I thought I'd use this, what color is that? Now it's gone. Now I can't read it, but I'll put it in the description below, but it's this really nice warm sort of magenta purple, and I'm mixing it with lilac and a bit of black, but I realized that didn't have enough punch to it. It wasn't deep enough of a color. The black really faded it out, or took away the chroma, which was again, another rookie mistake on my part. But so I brought in some ultramarine blue, a little bit more of that warm purple color, which I will figure out the name of soon. And then I was like, okay, this will work. So I did a test run with one stripe here and realized right away it's way too dark. So I patted that out with my fingertip while it was still wet. And then I just added some of that mixture I had made with the mauve. That's much lighter, that lilac, it's actually called lilac in the Holbien Gouache series. And I mixed that with this darker shade, still too dark, so I covered it up, added a bit more warmth. Basically, I kept fiddling until I felt that it was the right color. It needed to be darker than the background, but not too much darker. It didn't want to be like a major contrast. So trying to stick true to the original concept art. I just kept mixing until I felt that I had the right color. Now you'll notice that I didn't use a ruler. I'm not using pencil lines first. I'm just going for it. And I will admit, okay, so there's one trick. You can do what I'm doing, which is kind of paint, 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 paint in little tiny strokes. But I will admit this is a skill that's taken me, I think, quite a number of years to kind of, I don't want to say I've mastered it because I haven't mastered it, but I have this, I think partly it's the way my brain works. I'm very spatially aware. I'm able to like navigate pretty well, things like that, like spatial awareness. I have that as sort of a natural ability, I think, but then I also have been practicing this kind of work for so long that what happens now is that I actually see this almost like ghost of a line where the line should go. It's weird. I don't know if anyone else experiences that. Please write it in the comments below if you've ever had that experience, but it's almost like I can see where the next line should be. Sometimes it's a little bit of a negative that I see, or it's like a darker line, like I can almost see what I'm about to paint. It's strange, but it's very, very useful. So I think that does come with time and practice. I have heard other people say that they've had that experience. I actually knew someone that could see a whole drawing almost before they started drawing it, which is pretty incredible. They would just look at the page and sort of see it emerge and then draw what they saw, what they had sort of projected onto the page. Anywho, putting on the little windows here. I love this piece of concept art. I don't really know what it was made for. I did a little bit of research. It was just an autumnal autumn village with these leaves changing in the background. These trees that I'm about to put in have these gorgeous pink and orange leaves. And I just thought it was perfect for this time of year. I wanted to do a few of these because Mary Blair, my other favorite concept artist, she has a very similar sort of scene. An autumnal, I love that word, autumnal, but she's got this autumnal scene that I wanted to do that's very similar to this one with houses and trees. So if I have time this month, I will do that as well. And then I'll try to do a really quick Halloween painting too. I love Halloween. It's my favorite time of year. Halloween this year, I'm super excited because this year I'm actually performing in a cabaret, which is strange. I auditioned not thinking I'd get in, and then I got in, and now I'm doing this performance next weekend in a Halloween-inspired cabaret. I get to be one of Dracula's brides, dancing with 9 other women. Super scary. I'm super out of practice. I did a bit of dancing in my 20s, but anyway, that's what I'm excited about, and I'm dressing up a few times, going to a few parties, and doing lots of art, making lots of art, doing a few tarot paint nights, and yeah. Anyway, so if I have time, I'll do more of these autumnal scenes. So doing the trees now, I love making trees, and that tree that I just worked on, or the one that I'm still working on now, I think is the most successful of this painting. The rest of them were not as fabulous because I used a brush that's too big. My smaller brush has been squished, and the Winsor Newton Series 7 brushes that I use, the sable brushes that are extremely expensive but totally worth the price, they are running out of them, and I don't think they're making them anymore. So I'm freaking out because I haven't been able to find a thin-tipped brush that is its equal. So I used mine for years, and now it's just unusable for things like this, so I'm having to use a larger brush. This is still a Winsor Newton Series 7, and what's great about these brushes, one of the things I love about them, is that even with a larger size brush, I think this one's a 4, I think it's a 4 or a 6, I think it's a 4, but even with this one, you get these really nice fine points. So if you use more pressure, you get a thicker stroke, and then you can sort of ease up on the pressure like I am right there, and you get these thinner strokes. The trick with trees, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again, is that trees, the trunk will be the total mass of all the branches. So if you branch a trunk off into 2 branches, each branch will be, if you put them back together, you get the size of the trunk. And then when you have a branch, as it branches off, those branches, if you put them together, you would have that original branch. Does that make sense? That I think it does, but it's, yeah, you're just getting basically branching off, getting smaller and smaller. And so I do wish I had a smaller brush so that I could get some of the details. Like this tree that I'm working on here ended up being pretty clunky, thicker than it's supposed to look. But you know what? It's a learning experience. It reminded me of why I spent the extra money on a really great small brush. Also, this exercise, you know, doing replicants, it's not really about replicating something exactly. It is, for me, more about learning different techniques and being inspired by different ways to create compositions and use color and texture. So for trees, I've learned a lot about painting trees by replicating both Eyvind Earle and Mary Blair. And there we go, it's all done. Yay! I hope you all have a great autumn, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me a lot, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.